What does it mean to be a functioning alcoholic? What is a functioning alcoholic? Chances are you already know someone who is living with functional alcoholism. They're your spouses, friends, coworkers, teachers, doctors, coaches, etc. White collar, blue collar, rich and poor. People from all walks of life can suffer from this deadly disease. Sometimes from the surface, it can be hard to see. Some people drink on occasion, while others can't imagine a day going by without alcohol. How can you tell the difference? We reached out to experts, as well as people fighting the daily battle against functional alcoholism, to find out.
When you think about the word functioning, there are different levels of functioning. That doesn't mean that the issue or the problem is gone. It just means that they've learned how to hide it. That's it. They have learned to hide it without addressing that issue, and it comes out some other way. But it does come out. So appearance is everything. And I'm sure everybody has said, I'm only going to drink 2 drinks and that's all I'm going to drink. And they might drink 2 in front of you, but as soon as they leave, they're going to drink some more.
How can I be drunk enough to be comfortable, but not so drunk that you notice? If I can find that perfect spot, it doesn't exist, by the way. That spot, it doesn't exist, okay? And that's where I want to be. And there's no such thing as being a functional alcoholic. Sure, I can hold a job, but I probably suck at it. I'm probably doing the bare minimum. And if I was sober, I'd probably be way up here. I do not believe in the myth of functioning alcoholic. It is a myth. I tried it, I tested it. It is not true.
Functioning alcoholic is a term that someone uses about a person who may abuse alcohol but still be able to seemingly function at work and home. They tend to hide their addiction from loved ones and coworkers, but over time that facade seems to break down and they let the drink take over their life.
See, that's the thing. Sometimes alcoholics can't see their addictions for themselves. Fear of facing their struggle and denial keep people chained to the bottle. And the truth is, the stereotype of the local drunk just slurring his words and stumbling into people, it's not a good representation of what alcoholics really look like. They look like you, and me, and any other person you might meet on the street. They can be anyone. It's hard for them to see clearly through their drunken haze. Sometimes that hard look in the mirror can be painful and truly sobering. In the same way that they might lie to others to hide their drinking, they lie to themselves.
The dream of an alcoholic is that they'll be able to drink like a gentleman once again. And so alcoholism is a disease of denial. It's the only disease that tells you that you don't have it. There's no way to stop, anyone from drinking. You can give them as much knowledge as you want, but knowledge is not going to keep them sober.
I had the idea that an alcoholic was somebody, under a bridge with a brown paper bag. And, typically in my mind, an alcoholic was always a man. Whether it was, a drunk at the end of the bar and he's crying into his beer because he's lost his kids and his family, he's got a giant beer belly. Or maybe it's like the old crazy cat lady, that's the alcoholic. But it wasn't me. I was young. I always had a job, whether or not I quit the job before I got fired because I couldn't seem to show up to work on time or sober. But I just never pictured that I was an alcoholic because, I went to school. I still had a car. I never got a DUI. Even though I've been pulled over multiple times drunk, I was always able to talk my way out of it. But I wasn't an alcoholic in my mind. I never had that thought.
So we've established that it can be hard for an alcoholic to see themselves clearly. What may have started out as just drinking on weekends to unwind has morphed into a steady drinking problem. The alcoholic no longer knows how to find joy or celebrate without a drink. It begins to consume their time and their thoughts. Where can I get a drink? How long until my next drink? They begin to plan their entire life around their needs. Things start to unwind both at work and home. If you or a loved one thinks you may be struggling with alcoholism, these are some of the signs and behaviors that you might look for.
signs of functioning alcoholism include replacing food with drink and setting limits to how much they'll drink, but not being able to stick to those limits. They begin to drink alone, whether in the mornings or pre-drinking before they're going out with friends. They might joke about the possibility of being an alcoholic or get angry or defensive when somebody brings up the possibility of their alcoholism.
In my case, like many people, it's called controlled drinking. In other words, you try to control it as much as you can so you can continue to work. But then eventually it gets out of control. And that's all you're thinking about is drinking or drugging. Okay? With children, it's pretty much the same way. I mean, it's a progressive disease. When I first started drinking as a young boy, I mean, I didn't have to drink every single day. I used to work in New York City and lived in Maine, and I would travel home and stop at a club to have just one drink. Well, after maybe about 8 drinks, I couldn't leave. You know, I couldn't stop. That's alcoholism. At one point, my son, who was probably 8 or 9 at the time, called the bar. And the bartender said, hey, Art, you've got there's a kid on the phone. He just wanted his father to come home. And guess what? That's all I wanted to do, was to go home to my wife and my kids. I couldn't do it.
Alcoholism is a dangerous disease, whether you believe yourself to be functional or not. Over time, it's going to lead to medical issues like high blood pressure, liver problems, and kidney failure, not to mention legal issues. A recent study concluded that the cost of even a first-time DUI in the US is around $10,000. Now that's a lot of bread. Dough, clams, coin, lettuce, De Niro. What we're saying is it's going to cost you. And that doesn't even include the money lost due to time away from work or even losing your job because of incarceration. All that scary stuff aside, the real question is, how do we help alcoholics get better for themselves?
So for an addict, alcohol can be one of the most deadliest substances to actually come off of. It's imperative that an alcoholic actually seek medical attention, because trying to come off of it cold turkey can actually kill them from the withdrawals. Entering a rehab or recovery program is the best way to safely detox from their addiction. Following up with programs like AA or keeping in touch with your sponsor is actually very useful. No one should face this alone.
They need somebody who is not afraid to tell them the truth. So many people have family members who are so codependent that they want to be the one to fix them. And they won't tell them the truth that, okay, so you think you're okay drinking this much, passing out, because something gets neglected all the time when you're on that road. And if you don't have somebody to tell you the truth, then of course you're going to believe your own hype.
The best thing we can do to help people suffering from alcohol addiction is to let them know that they do not suffer alone. Many like them have battled with this addiction, and there is a path to recovery that comes without judgment or stigma. They can do so much more than simply function. They can flourish, they have worth, and they don't have to suffer anymore. Remember, recovery is a journey, and that journey begins with the first step.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, we're here to help. Give us a call at 888-216-4032. For new episodes of Around the Turn, make sure to hit subscribe below.